Our issue for today is Secretary of Justice Agra's action in releasing Governor Saldi Ampatuan of Maguindanao and his nephew by our intelligence duo, Dr. Hill Santos and Dr. Noli Santos. So, either one of you, Dr. Santos or Noli, can pick up this question as to what is your take on the action of Secretary of Justice Agra's release of Governor Saldi Ampatuan and his nephew.
I'll say beauty before age. So Noli goes first.
Okay.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
I thought it's superficial to look at the release of the two Ampatuans on its surface as a mere administrative action. There is something deeper than the mere release of the two Ampatuans. Although some technicalities are being invoked about observing procedures before the Secretary of Justice could release any suspects. I guess and I think we should talk less on the procedures but on the deeper events that happen and will happen in relation to the release of the two Ampatuans.
Well, how I look at it, if I may butt in at this point, how I look at it is that there seems to be some basis for the growing public perception that the Ampatuan case, which involved 57 people who were massacred in Maguindanao in November, is part of a grand design. This is not my conclusion, but this is the perception, growing perception in Manila, in the Philippines. There's a growing design connected to probable cheating in the coming elections in May 10. Now, this becomes a very, very ticklish issue because the job of Mr. Agra is to be able to look at issues in favor of the people of the Philippines. He being a part of the executive department of government. Now, the way he acted in the case of the two Ampatuans, he released. There is this perception, and I say there is a basis. It looks like that he is acting, or he acted like he was the defense lawyer of the Ampatuans instead of getting onto the side of people, because he should have given this to the courts. This is, of course, my private opinion. I could be wrong, but coming from where we are and knowing from what we read and from asking people straight from the horse's mouth, this is my take.
Actually, it's not only contextual, as you have said or as you have described, Secretary Agra's action, but it is also categorical in the sense that actually and categorically the Secretary Agra's duty to serve the people in the name of the people.
Yes.
So in that connection, what should he have done then as a duty in the name of the people against those accused for the people of the Philippines?
Well, what he should have done is, I believe, what he should have done is support the very principle on which our democracy rests. Let the courts take its due course. Have the processes through the courts. Don't just release them. It's not his duty to release them or drop them from the charges. Let the courts decide that. They were included in the first charges as suspects, as have participated, although it is agreed that they were not in the scene of the crime. But again, the scene of the crime alibi is, as Noli would probably say, is one of the weakest alibis in law. Noli? because there is a case in the Philippine context. In the 1950s, the Secretary of Justice and concurrently Secretary of National Defense, Oscar Castelo, was convicted and was jailed. Although at the time, this Mr. Lacson was killed or murdered in Negros. Although at that time that the crime happened, Mr. Castelo was in South Korea visiting the Filipino troops, you see. So, there is a precedence.
Yeah, okay. You could probably add on to that the case of Visconde and Webb's case.
Yes, yes.
Wherein the best evidence rule should have prevailed. So maybe you can add that later on in another discussion.